A selfless act of kindness. The story of Harman Singh. Harman Singh never thought that a single decision would change his life forever. It was a crisp Auckland morning, the kind where the city buzzes with the rhythm of daily life, cars rushing past, people lost in their own worlds, and the occasional sound of birds cutting through the urban hum. But for Harman, that morning would be etched in his memory for a lifetime. At just 22 years old, Harman, a devout Sikh, was navigating life in a foreign land. He had moved to New Zealand in pursuit of education, carrying with him the values instilled by his culture: compassion, selflessness, and a deep reverence for his faith. He was still grieving the recent loss of his father, a pain that made the world feel heavier on his young shoulders. Little did he know that fate had plans to test his spirit in the most unexpected way. On that fateful day, as he walked down a quiet street, a sudden screech of tires and a heart-stopping crash shattered the usual morning stillness. Instinctively, he turned towards the commotion and sprinted towards the scene. There, lying on the cold asphalt, was a 5-year-old boy, blood pooling beneath his small, fragile frame. His name, as Harman would later learn, was Dejan. Panic filled the air. Bystanders froze, their faces masks of horror, their feet rooted to the ground. But Harman didn't hesitate. He rushed to the injured child, his heart pounding against his ribs. The boy had sustained a severe head injury, and time was slipping away like sand through his fingers. Harman knew he had to act fast. And then came the moment of reckoning. As a Sikh, Harman was bound by his faith to always keep his head covered in public. His turban was more than just a piece of cloth. It was a symbol of his identity, his devotion, and his deep connection to his beliefs. But in that moment, faith took on a new form. Humanity came first. Without a second thought, Harman removed his turban, something he had never done outside of his home. He carefully folded it, pressing it firmly against the boy's bleeding head, using it as a makeshift bandage to stem the blood flow. Strangers gasped in surprise. Some whispered and some reached for their phones, recording the extraordinary sight of a young man choosing compassion over convention. But Harman wasn't thinking about any of that. He was only thinking about keeping Dejan alive. Minutes later, the wail of sirens filled the air as paramedics arrived and took over. Harman stepped back, his hands now smeared with blood, his hair unbound and flowing freely in the wind. As he watched the ambulance speed away, relief flooded through him. He had done what any decent human being should do. News of his selfless act spread like wildfire. Social media erupted with praise for the young man who had put humanity above personal beliefs. He became an unwitting hero overnight, his name spoken with admiration by strangers around the world. Yet Harman himself expected nothing in return. He had done what his heart had told him was right, and that was enough for him. But karma had other plans. A New Zealand television crew, eager to interview the man who had put a child's life before religious protocol, visited his modest apartment. As they stepped inside, a different kind of story unfolded before their eyes. Harman's apartment was nearly empty. A thin mattress on the floor served as his bed. There was no sofa, no chairs, no dining table, just the bare minimum of necessities. Despite his kindness, he had been living in near poverty, struggling to make ends meet while studying and grieving his father's loss. The revelation struck a chord with the crew. They decided to take action. A few days later, a knock at Harman's door signaled an unexpected surprise. As he opened it, his eyes widened in disbelief. A group of people stood there, smiling, holding furniture and household essentials. A local furniture store had stepped in, donating a brand new bed, a cozy sofa, a coffee table, and chairs to furnish his home. Their message was simple: kindness deserved kindness in return. And the generosity didn't stop there. Domino's Pizza, moved by Harman's act of heroism, offered him 6 months of free vegetarian pizzas, a small token of appreciation for a man who had proven that selflessness still existed in the world. However, perhaps the most touching moment came when the New Zealand police formally recognized his efforts. At the Manukau Police District Awards, Harman was presented with the prestigious District Commander's Certificate of Appreciation. Standing there, receiving applause from officers and dignitaries, he felt a surge of emotion. He had never sought recognition, yet here he was, a symbol of hope and humanity. Looking back, Harman Singh's story is more than just a tale of heroism. It's a testament to the power of kindness, the impact of a single moment, and the undeniable truth that sometimes, the greatest faith is found not in rigid adherence to rules, but in the simple, unwavering act of choosing love over everything else.